your last caller, Sam, graciously touched upon the whole Empress Finest Paul Nehlen debacle going on. I feel like every time I'm on here, I'm asking about the alt right, but it's like it's kind of my obsession to to kind of make fun of. I love when you go into the different characters. But what do you think about the whole developing scandal that Mike Enoch and the other alt right leadership knew about the Eli Mosley military records and knew about Emperor Finest? Not Empress Finest. Sorry, he's not Jewish. What's his name?
Ebola
Ebola
America.
America.
Yeah.
Being Jewish and a homosexual.
Yeah, well, I think it might be another case of Vindication City, don't you think? I mean, look, hey, and if the rumors are true, but not to jump to conclusions. I don't want people to think we're jumping to conclusions, but let's say, for example, that this is true. Let's say Enoch and all the rest knew that Eli was out there lying about being in Iraq. And look, he says he's going to come forward with the documents. He said he's going to come forward with his military records to prove it's not true. And I think we owe him at the minimum that we'll wait and hear his side of the story, because the New York Times came out with that hit piece. I don't trust the New York Times as far as I can throw them. That said, it doesn't look good. But, let's say Eli lied. Let's say they knew about it. Let's say they knew that Mike Enoch was married to a Jewish person. Let's say they knew that Paul Nehlen's campaign spokesperson was a Jewish homosexual. And, look, you can have people in the movement, like Matt Semite is a perfect example of a Jewish person who comes into the movement and he does a lot of good and he's welcomed by people and they say, hey, you're all right. But it's about transparency. It's about honesty. It's about people are going out there and they're putting their lives on the line in many cases. When you look at the dangers of a place like Charlottesville, or even associating with these people publicly, when you're putting your ass on the line and that you could get fired, you could get blacklisted, you'll get ostracized by your family, and all it is just irresponsible. It's just simply reckless that you have these secrets, which are very damaging, which embarrass the movement, which humiliate the movement and its members. All the while, they let these people pay them their dues, and they go and march with them, and they stand with them, and this is all if that's true, and we'll see. I think a lot of things will come to light in the next year, and we'll see if that's true. But if it is, shame on these people, because they take advantage of young, impressionable men with nowhere else to go, looking for that community, looking for that sense of belonging, and shame on these people if it's true that they're going to take advantage like that. It's reckless, it's irresponsible, it's not right.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I was one of those people who was marching with them and going to with the New York Times journalist and Eli. I was there at the whole where he was standing on the steps of the monument and shouting about white people and whatnot. I was there for that whole thing, and I was kind of worried the whole time when they had the New York Times in all of our personal space, in our vans, and everywhere we went, everyone was mic'd up, had cameras on them the whole time. They told a lot of people they wouldn't put their faces in the documentary, and I had another quick question for you about that whole thing with the media. We know that like Richard and it seems like and Eli and these other guys like kind of the exposure, or think that having the New York Times or whoever there is going to be good for them. When I was at the Gainesville event a few months back with Richard, and Eli was there as well, they had the Atlantic with them, and I wanted to know what you think about this. This is speculation again. We don't, like you were saying, we'll give them the benefit of the doubt. But Richard brought along a journalist with the Atlantic who is Jewish, whose father was an Israeli politician. And he said that he was the same journalist that filmed the Hailgate thing last year in 2016, or 2 years ago now. And Mike Enoch was the one who started the whole Sikh hails at Hailgate. And now we have the same journalist who filmed Hailgate. Richard has him personally with him, and I was Richard's one of his security people for that event. And I want to know what you think about that and how that plays into this, where he told us openly that he was a Israeli politician's son, and he was working with the Atlantic. I don't really know what to think about that. What do you make of that?
Yeah, that sounds fishy, my guy. That sounds not good. I haven't heard anything about that, and I have to be careful about what I say, because people are so quick to tell me, Nick, you're attacking people in the movement, Nick. Why can't you just chill out? Why can't you calm down? and all this. And I'm saying it with the caveat that if all of the above is true, and we'll see. I mean, I talked to Eli still. I talked to him after the thing, and I said, look, if what you did was true, no good. But, I'm willing to hear your side of the story. With the caveat that if that's true, that's not good. These are people that in many cases we trust them with our reputation. We trust them to lead the movement. We trust them to be role models in many cases. And it's a big letdown when these people are a liability or there's this lack of transparency. It just, if they're going to run the show and tell us that you can't criticize and you can't counter signal and what we say goes, well, then at the very least, don't be a liability. At the very least, we have to expect some level of competence. It would be one thing if, they were like, well, we don't lead anything and we're just kind of out there and we just put out content. But no, I mean, they're saying we are the alternative. We are the new movement. We are the leaders of a new political movement. And if that's the case, you take not just the privileges that come with that, but also the responsibilities. And I hope that doesn't come off as like concern trolling, but I think that's fair, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for calling in for some insightful stuff, some really good stuff.